Yo, what is up everybody? Chris Lee here and welcome to the channel. Now, some of you that have never been poor or in poverty would never guess that being poor is actually a lot more expensive than being rich. And the thing is, most people have definitely described themselves as being poor or broke at some point in their life. I know I have. But unless you've actually encountered the things that I'm gonna be discussing in this video, then you have no idea about how hard life can actually be. And what I mean by this is that when you're in the poverty realm of things, there is a whole new set of hurdles to get over, and honestly, living day-to-day life is just a constant struggle. There's so many extra costs for anything that you need to do, and that's what we're gonna be discussing in this video. And just a heads up, this video is not gonna be about how to get out of poverty. It's merely a video to open your eyes up to, and it's for a younger audience to avoid the things I'm gonna be talking about so that they don't go into poverty. But if you'd like to see a video about how to get out of poverty, there's a link in the description below. You can go ahead and click that video. But what I'd like you to do is actually to watch this till the end and then click on the one on the end screen. With that said, let's go ahead and get into this video and discuss why it's more expensive to be poor. All right, so let's start off with the fact that we all need some form of basic financial services. And we're all familiar with the fact that we need access to basic necessities like a checking account, ATMs, debit cards, checks, things like that, right? And this is where being poor actually starts getting rough, because having these services actually ends up costing people more money just to use them. From what I understand, banks make a profit off of collecting interest from the money that's in the bank. So that's why they have checking accounts where you're absolutely more than welcome to open them and use them. But if you can't keep $1,400 to $1,500 in there a month, they're gonna charge you a fee because they consider you an unprofitable customer at this point. Now, this to me, I understand, but I also find very frustrating. Now, what I mean when I say I understand is because it's risky for them to not have people a part of their services that they can't make a profit off of, because at the end of the day, this is a business. But at the same time, like I said, I find it frustrating because I almost find it counterproductive for everybody in the long run. I'm not a banker. I don't know the ins and outs of the banking system, but I do believe that there is a possible solution, and that's either A, still charge that minimum fee for them having that account open, or B, do some kind of like growth incentive where they can take about $25 to $50 per month in a mandatory savings account so they can get up to that $1,400 to $1,500 and then have that be shifting into their checking account so that they always stay at a current balance so they don't get charged for that fee, and you can make a profit off of them. Now, obviously, I'm kind of just spitballing off the top of my head. I didn't think of some like detailed proposition or some solution. But personally, I think everybody would benefit. Both the community and the banks become more profitable by not pushing people out from using their services. Let me know in the comments below what you think about that, or if you have your own solution, or if there's maybe already something out there that I don't really know about that's already helping people. I don't know, I'm not a banker. But unfortunately, banks are a business and they need to make money, so they don't really have an interest in helping or dealing with people in poverty. Matter of fact, they end up even penalizing them even harder. Because God forbid you go below zero in that account and then you get charged a $35 fee for every penny that you spend in overdraft. Yeah, that's right. If you overdraft and then keep overdrafting, you get $35. $35. And what makes it even worse is that they will purposely reorder your spendings from most expensive to least expensive to just drive you into the ground faster and just keep racking up all those fees. And so now you're poor and probably at a point where you're like, I can't pay this bank back anytime soon. And now they're losing money and basically nobody's making money. I really want to know what greedy ass mofo thought of this system, but I digress. Let's go ahead and move on to the next point, which is high interest rates and how this affects poor people more than it does rich people. Now, we all know that having great credit is something to aim for in life, but having high interest rates makes this hard to achieve. And these high interest rates end up being put onto poor people a lot more than they are with rich people. Now, there's a couple reasons for this, but the main one being that, hey, businesses are there to make money. We all know that, we should respect that, and we should understand that. Part of being profitable means not putting yourself in risky situations, much like the banks. So what are these creditors looking at to determine whether someone should get a higher interest rate or not? Well, some of the things they look at are, does this person have no assets, no collateral? Do they have very little money to their name? Do they have a bad history? Do they have no history of borrowing anything from anyone? These kinds of things are what throw up red flags to them, and if you have any of these, then you'll be faced with higher interest rates. Now, some of the more obvious reasons is that when you're on a lower income and you get a high interest card, it becomes increasingly more difficult to end up paying your bills. So what ends up happening is they usually take the credit card that has a high interest rate to pay off the bills, and then those are taken care of. But then this credit card bill comes, and now they gotta pay not only another set of bills for the next month, but also what they did on the card for the last month on top of the high interest rate. This creates this very fast snowball effect. You're essentially paying Peter to rob Paul. Or is it pay Paul to pay Peter? I don't know. My parents used to say it. Anyways, back to what I was saying before, was that building a good credit score is what you want to aim for, and that'll get you out of that dilemma and not really get you involved in those high interest rates. But if you want to know more about building good credit, go ahead and hit the like button if you haven't done so already. Support the channel and comment below. Let me know, hey, I want more videos on building good credit, and I'll make more on that. Moving on to the next thing, which ties back to not having access to banks, are cash checking and payday loan places. Now, these check cashing and payday loan places are a parasite, in my opinion, and I'll explain why in a minute. But let's first observe the fact that banks have moved out of the inner cities where lower income people live, which forces them to make no choice but to either travel to the bank to the outer city, which costs them time and money, to be on public transportation, which, by the way, it can easily cost a big chunk of the day. I've been there. But even worse is that they have to go to these check cashing places. Cashing a check costs money from your paycheck, typically about 2 to 3% of that paycheck. And then on top of that, they still gotta pay their utilities. So they gotta get money orders because they don't have a debit card or a checkbook. And getting a money order costs money to get. Now, you wanna talk about a high interest rate, let's talk about payday loans for a second. These places are what I consider predatory businesses because they are essentially a debt trap for people that are in a desperate situation. And that's not okay. A payday loan here in California where I live costs on average $17 to $18 per $100 borrowed. So if you borrowed $100, it would be due in 14 days, and the total would be $117. Oh, with an annual percentage rate of, wait for it, 460%. I vomited in my mouth and crapped myself a little when I said that out loud. And if you cannot pay that $117 off within 14 days, you are caught in the trap, and that interest is gonna keep piling up, which means you're just gonna be making payments forever. That is fucking insane. Now, I am a believer in the saying that you do choose to be broke if you wanna remain broke. I didn't say you chose to be broke or what circumstance got you to be broke, but you do choose to remain broke if you don't educate yourself and go out of your own way to get out of that situation. Now, with that said, I don't need anybody going down in the comments and all of a sudden becoming life coaches for society and saying things like,
they need to fix their mindset.
Or other things like,
yeah, they really need to get good credit.
So first of all, go ahead and just put your judgment aside and realize that there are things that happen that are beyond people's control and they're born into, and you won't understand unless you are in poverty. So there's that. Oh, and I'm gonna go ahead and actually credit Nate O'Brien for pointing this out, and that's the fact that the decision-making process is vastly different for someone that makes $15K a year as opposed to someone that's making 6 figures a year. You see, the person that makes $15K per year has to make very short-term decisions based off of their income, like, where's the next meal coming from? Or like, do I pay the electric bill or the car bill? Which one's more important? They gotta prioritize and spend their money before they even get it. Whereas a wealthy person, on the other hand, the person that's making 6 figures over here, doesn't have to worry about simple things like that in life. Matter of fact, they can buy things in bulk and just never really worry about anything. And they can keep putting away money in different areas that'll help them keep growing that money in the future. And because poor people have to make these very difficult and stressful decisions all the time, it puts them in situations where they gotta get temporary solutions like the predatory businesses where they think they're actually gonna help them out and they're not. Speaking of predatory businesses, let's talk about the zero money down schemes. For example, I'm pretty sure we've all seen on the side of the road or on some store the zero down on that car loan or the zero down to get the TV or the furniture, things like that. You see, people in low income situations like this, they really go for the $50 a month with zero money down because honestly, it sounds like a really good deal to get. And they're kind of figuring,
Hey, I I don't have to pay this right now, but I can have this new mattress that I've been really needing to get.
And again, going back to those high interest rates, this is where people get in trouble because even though it's zero money down, the interest rate is gonna be really high, about 20 to 40%. And what that really means is that $50 a month payment went from being $50 to about $70 to $80 per month. And that's if they pay that interest monthly along with that $50 per month. So if you're somebody that's watching this and you were thinking about getting into one of these schemes, just be careful to actually calculate the interest in with the monthly payment and be honest with yourself that that's something that you can actually keep up with. So I don't know about you guys, I don't know if you're stressed out by now. I am just talking about all this stuff. Actually, I want to let you guys know that when I was doing all the research and like getting this video together, I was actually getting really stressed out. You know, I kind of went through these experiences in my life, so just kind of like revisiting that mentally, just kind of like, you know, it makes the bleh, you know. But all of this led me to think, like, what does this do to someone's psyche that's constantly like this for years and years, right? Like, what happens there? So I did some research, and I actually found out that there's something called decision fatigue, and specifically on people in poverty. Very interesting. Having the pressure of making decisions on, like, what's more important to fall behind on because everything you do in life is an extra expense, and it's really on just, like, necessary everyday life things. It causes you to mentally break down and take a toll on you, causing you to make very irrational decisions. Like going to a payday loaner to get yourself that quick fix to give your psyche some slack and let you breathe, even though they know that it's really not gonna help them out in the long run. Or another great example is running low on food for the family. And so therefore you go the next time and you make sure you spend a little bit more extra just to make sure that amount of food lasts this time. But then realize the power is gonna get shut off because you didn't have enough money afterward to pay for the past due amount. All right, so where do we go from here? What does this information do for you exactly? Well, let's just start with addressing one of the big problems, which is that our educational system is clearly failing us in the financial literacy area. It's a huge problem. But for now, what we have are channels on YouTube, and you have books online and all kinds of stuff like that. But that's gonna be it for this video, everybody. I really appreciate you guys taking the time out of your day to watch this. You have no idea. If you found this video useful or entertaining in any way possible, go ahead and hit the like button. That would make my day. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you know when the next video drops. And if you wanna know more about how to get out of poverty, go ahead and click the video on the screen, or you can go ahead and click in the description below. But before we end this video, I wanna know in the comments below, which of these did you find most interesting, or which one would you add to that I haven't already? With that said, my name is Chris Lee, and I will see you in the next video. Peace, guys.